Hello, hello. How are you guys doing? It feels like I just saw you 5 seconds ago, but um, it's okay because this is going to be really, I think, informative and fun. Let me make sure before I start rambling that you guys can all hear me and see me okay. Hold on one second. Hello from Toronto. Let's see. Making sure. Okay, I think we're good. Yay! Hello from California. Hello, Karen. Okay, good, good, good. Which, by the way, so in the movie live stream that we did, oh my gosh, hello from South Africa. Hello, Clara. Um, so I started using these like metal straws, and in the live stream was the very first time that I ever tried them, and I almost chipped my tooth, and I was like, so I Googled on Amazon, and you can get little like silicone tips for them that you can wash. So something interesting. Hello from Norway. Hello from France. Hello, Joseph. Hello from Kent, England. Ooh, that sounds fancy. Oh my gosh. Hello from Peekskill, New York. I don't think that's terribly far from here, but I actually don't know, so who knows? Anyhow, so let's see, where do we start here? Why am I doing this as a live stream as opposed to an edited video? The reason is, in an edited video, it wouldn't have been a terribly long video, and there's like so many just little things that I can tell you about as we do this, because I had a huge learning curve as I attempted to do this for the first time, and I messed up a number of times before and I got so discouraged. I was like, I don't think you can do a hem like this on just like a standard sewing machine. And it turns out you can. I needed to be patient and like figure it out. So now that I've got all that knowledge in my head, I'm just like, I should do a live stream of this and just show you outright how it's done. And also like folding, the fold on this particular napkin is obnoxiously complicated and tricky. And if I just did it really quick in a video, you'd see it and you'd be like, wait, what? And this way, I can do it once, I can undo it, do it again. And if you guys have questions, you can just throw them at me. And that way, I want these videos to be as useful to you as possible. And this just seemed, for this one, like the most effective way to do this. So hello from Poughkeepsie, New York. I actually had to drive to New York City a week ago, or like in the vicinity of the city. And as I drove over there, I realized I drove past a Poughkeepsie, so I didn't know where that was. Okay, let's talk about the project really quick. Let's see. All right, I already see a comment that we're going to talk about, and we're going to just get it out in the everybody kept talking about the napkin ring. So let me start the episode off by telling you, I'm weird about spending money on things. Like I was talking to my mom about this. I don't like new things generally. I almost never buy new things. And I like old things. And I'm hesitant to buy expensive stuff. But these napkin rings, I've never seen anything like it. I like Googled and tried finding like vintage cool stuff. And something about these just seemed so right. And they were so expensive. But I don't know. They're going to be something that people get at like my estate sale. And they're just like, look at these really awesome things. So I don't know. They're called Lobjet. Let me show you this. They're called Lobjet. They're too expensive, but that's what they look like. Fancy, fancy. And they're like $55 a piece, which is a lot. But at the same time, I'm never going to change this room ever. So I will be using these same napkin rings when I'm an ancient old lady. So you can look them up. You can buy them if you want, but they're so pretty. But I had like an anxiety attack about them. And I was telling my mom this. I have like a funny thing about if I go to like a hobby store or Joann's and I buy a bunch of stuff, I'm like, well, I need all of this stuff. And like, I don't stop and go, I'm spending too much money on that. But if I'm faced with like a sticker on something, I'll tell you this. Never in my life have I spent $500 on a dress ever. I've never done that. And I'm including my wedding dress. My wedding dress was actually free. My mom got it at an auction. So I'm trying to think, but I've spent $500 on materials to make a dress before, which is bonkers. But for some reason, I'm weird like that. So that's the long story about the napkin rings. Let's talk about the colors for this room. Do we want to talk about that? I'm really, really, really excited about it because, like I said, I've pulled the paper off of the old 1980s paper off of the room. It's already done. I've filmed it all. I've done all of this magical stuff to it, so it's gonna blow your mind. It's amazing. So these are the colors, and let me switch over. These are the paint colors, or the colors that are featured in the wallpaper in the dining room. Every single one had to be painstakingly mixed individually, tested against the paper itself, so I could ensure that it was an identical match. And by the way, so I'm going to paint the ceiling, which I haven't done. And I took one of these color swatches to Lowe's and I asked them to color match it. And my initial plan before I did all of this was I was like, I guess I could take this wallpaper thing to Lowe's and have them color match each shade. They didn't even get one of the shades right, which told me if I had attempted to do that, I would have ended up with a whole bunch of colors that I couldn't have matched perfectly. So this was the only way to do this. Before we get into this, let me talk about what my current plan is for next month, because I've been talking about this with my mom and it's going to be a little bit different. So because the dining room is such a big room and there's so many like things to do in it, so the public episode is going to be stripping off the paper and completely mending and fixing this like super ancient wallpaper and talking about all of that. But your guys' episode, instead of it being one episode, I think what I'm going to do is break it up into like a kind of bunch of little episodes, post them all next month. You'll get them all next month. But it'll be like one day you get an episode and then 2 days later you get another like 5 to 10 minute episode, because the things I'm going to be covering are place setting, like how I'm arranging my place settings, how I'm going to be putting fabric here or doing this other weird little thing here. Painting the ceiling is its own little episode. So you guys are going to be a little swamped with fun episodes next month, just because if I tried putting that all in one giant episode, it wouldn't tell a really cohesive story. And I think this is just like a little bit more fun for you guys. So I'm talking too much. Okay. So let's see. So these are the colors. Let me explain. Oh, by the way, we've got a clock going off. Do you have enough paint? So I mixed like a pint, just about a pint on each of these. Is that a pint? Yeah. A quart? Maybe closer to a quart. I'm not sure. No, a pint's... See, this is gonna, I'm like accidentally revealing that I don't know everything. Hold on. Okay. So let me think. The fabric, I just realized she's like, hello, sweet. Okay. The fabric, I bought 2 different types of fabric when I initially was going to do this. And I dyed both of them. The synthetic one just wouldn't, I was using a synthetic dye and it just wouldn't take evenly. So I ended up using a natural, it's called, I wrote it down on my phone because I was like, I should tell people what this was. I got it at Joann's. I got it on sale. It was like 50% off. off of the price. It's something called lyocell, which is really just eucalyptus that's been like the fibers from a eucalyptus plant. And it's like 25% linen. And so anyway, so it's a natural fiber and it takes dye so much better. And I just kind of think it's going to work better as a napkin. I think it's going to be easier to get stains out of and things like that. Another thing about these napkins is I didn't make the design obscenely complicated with like tons of sort of bonkers stitching and stuff, because you want them to be really pretty and beautiful, but you don't want to spend such an obscene amount of time on each one, because if people come over and just destroy a few of them over the years, you want to just be able to make more of them. Okay, where do I begin? How did I create the pattern? Let me answer that. So I took a piece of construction paper that was much bigger than this. I knew it's basically a quarter of what the shape is. I folded it over and I drew this design over and over and again. By the way, I'm also probably going to be posting like a mini episode of how I did the napkin. So I just did this a bunch of times, cut it out, and then laid it out on a big sheet of paper, which is this. And I ended up with that. And that is the pattern for the napkin. So on my end, what I did, and I've already got it done here. I laid it out on a sheet of 27 by 27 inch fabric. I spray starched the fabric. Do you guys know how to spray starch fabric? I'm assuming a lot of you do, but let me just make sure, ask you guys if you know how to. You basically just spray it on it and iron it. Anyhow, so you do that and it stiffens up the fabric. Otherwise, it kind of, okay, somebody said no. Nope. Then I'm going to have to do it on camera really quick. This is my iron, by the way. I've got, let me heat it up and get it going. And I'll show you just quickly how you spray starch stuff. I'm trying to think. The benefits to starching something that you're going to actually wear is it looks really crisp and nice. And the drawback to it is any creases become instantly permanent on it. So it's like if you bend it or do so when you starch a napkin, if you fold it and you mess up the fold and you try to unrelease it, it looks creased and crazy. So you have to iron it again. So that's the drawback. But the positive to it is it kind of like locks in the shape of the fabric. They used to starch like men's collars and all sorts of other weird little things on like formal clothing. So it's a very common thing to do. They sell it at Walmart. That's where I got this. And all you do, got steam in there. It's kind of best if you shoot it at a little bit of a distance, but someone said don't use Gorilla Glue. Yes, no. So you spritz it. I don't think this camera is getting this, but I'm spritzing like this. And then you take your iron and you just run over it. And what it does is it just stiffens the fabric a little tiny bit. Now, oh, hold on one second, Bisca. I need one of those rolls of the fusion stuff. I forgot to bring that over here. I'm usually very prepared. I tried to have everything on hand, but I did forget this. Okay. So, thank you. So this is something I discovered after watching a bunch of videos. It's called Fuse and Tear. And basically the side that's underneath, you can lay down on fabric. I'm going to just cut this out and show you really quickly. If I can find my scissors. So you just take a little bit, and let's say you're putting that down right there at the edge. You just iron that down. And again, the side that curls underneath is the part that you iron flat. You go like that. You can wait a second. And see how like that isn't moving now? Oh wait, you guys can't see that. So see how it doesn't crimple or do anything kind of funny, as opposed to this that would be all over the place. And so anyway, once you sew something, it just tears right off wherever you want it to. And the benefit to doing that on something like this is we're going to be making a loose edge on this napkin. And if you were to if you were to skip this step, the fabric would pull and do all sorts of wonky things and you wouldn't get a really clean, nice shape to it. So we're just avoiding that. Okay. So if you have traced out this shape, and this is what you have, lay this down on your starched 27 by 27 inch piece of fabric. And because the end doesn't really, you can use invisible marker. I have some issues with invisible marker. Sometimes I can't see it very well, and you do need to be able to see this fairly well. So I used a darker pink marker to very gently, and I'll show you because I did it right here. I marked one side of the fabric. You can probably see that. And that's permanent, that won't wash out, but we're gonna be actually covering this with thread 2 times over, so it won't actually matter. This is a lot of talking. I don't think I actually anticipated how much talking was involved. What kind of sewing machine is that? This is a Singer. I've had this thing for 5 years, and it's really, I think it was kind of pricey. I think it was like $300 or $400, but it works really, really well, and it has not failed me yet. So I don't have a serger. Sergers cost, I think they cost a lot. I don't want to get anything that's so obscenely fancy and excessively expensive, because I want to show you guys how to do stuff. And if I buy some piece of equipment that nobody's going to have, and then I'm just like, and do it like this, it's not going to be useful or helpful. So I figured out how to basically turn this into a serger for the purposes of what we're doing. And so that's what we're doing. Okay, so let me show you. I'm giving you guys a little bit of time to mark your fabric. And then once we're to the point that you guys have your fabric to this stage, that it's marked with the pattern outline, start saying, I'm ready to go, because that will help me. I might take like a little sippy break. And by the way, Werewolf, I think, is really like putting on a show for you guys. And if you guys have any questions at this point, also feel free to throw them my way. Okay, so sergers are around $250 to $300. I didn't know that. I thought they were more expensive than that. What kind of camera am I using? I think this is a Sony, and we bought it literally just before we started filming like this series, and we've been using the same one ever since. It's been great. The thread case I got at an antique shop for not very much money, and it's so pretty. And they're all over the place. A lot of them are way too expensive, but this one I got a good deal on, and you can just store threads. It's mostly decorative, like, because I've color coded everything. You know where I got the idea from is, I don't know if anybody watches, is it Hop Along Hollow on YouTube? But she's this awesome, Terry Landry. I'm gonna mess that all up. It's this really awesome lady on YouTube who lives like Beatrix Potter Fantasy Life, and she like makes scones and does all sorts of things, and she showed off her sewing room, and she had one of those, and I was like, I want one of those. Hop Along Hollow. Okay, good. That was the right one. She's like, I don't think she's usually this performative. Jerry Landers, that's it. Awesome. I'm trying to think. What were the other? I thought I had seen a question that now I can't remember what it was. Okay. Will you be doing the lampshade tutorial? Yes. Okay, here's a question before I make any commitments. What would you rather see more? Because I'm prioritizing over in the month of April, would you rather see a lampshade tutorial or a dress form making tutorial? And also, this is a very important question. This is like too many questions to be asking at once, but the dress form, lampshade, dress form. I kind of want to do the dress form. I think it's time to do the dress form, and then I'll do the lampshade after. Okay. Now here's my second question, and this is important. How much would you spend on the materials for the dress form? Because I don't want to make something that's that costs me a lot of money and that nobody else will make. So like, what is a reasonable price that you could see yourself spending on materials for a dress form? Because this is again one of those things that if somebody showed me an $800 dress form and was like, this is for sale and it's exactly your size, I wouldn't buy it. I'd have an anxiety attack about it. But I could see myself spending almost that amount of money on the materials to make one. I don't know why. So 100 to 200, 250 max. Okay, this is helpful because it lets me know that I will be very, very careful to keep the cost of the products and materials within that range. 100 to 150. So I don't want to make any promises. I'm going to do my very best to keep the cost under 100. And if I can do that, that's what I will do. If it goes like a touch over that, it'll be what it's going to be. But, and if I can, maybe I'll try a couple different things. And so you guys have some options. There's a material that's really, really amazing. And I need to double check and see how expensive it was. Let's see. Okay, that was really helpful. Okay, are you guys ready to start on your napkins? So I'm going to show you the best way to do this. The first time I did this, I laid this tearaway fabric all over the entire napkin. And what that created was I was dealing with this big unbendable sheet as I was trying to do each side, which was not a smart thing to do. So I have figured out the best way to do this is to lay down your fabric. Actually, I'm going to do it right here so you guys can see everything. So lay that down. Should probably grab my scissors first. And again, this is the way the curve under is what gets ironed down. So you lay that down. So it's pretty much exactly the same. So you've got that. And now we are going to cut this into 3 strips, and this will cover 3 sides of our napkin. So you just cut it into thirds. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. Okay, so I'm going to lay these so I can remember which side is which down here. Okay, so this is how we're going to do this. Whatever side you marked your fabric, you're going to keep that on the bottom of when we iron. So you want to keep that basically when you flip this over, it'll be on the top. I think I'm going to have to stand up for this part because I don't think I can iron this. Anyhow, so you lay down your fabric. Let me make sure you guys can see that. You lay this down over the line and just iron it. Okay. I'm going to let that cool down really quickly. Can we see the video set up? So I'm trying to think. It's a whole bunch of mess. It's not very pretty. Will you be doing a full how you style your hair from start to finish? I could do that. Is that interesting? I'm trying to think. Okay, someone said I'm not able to make a napkin today, but that's, I think that, well, so that's kind of the benefit to, like, even if you're not actually doing this along with me, you can see every little step along the way and you get a sense of the real time. Although this isn't a good sense of the real time because I'm talking. So anyhow, so on that side, you've got that stuff. And on that side, you can see your line. So I'm going to set this up. And I'm going to keep that line right in the center. And let me try to explain this next part because it's going to be a little tiny bit complicated. Okay, so the setting on your computer, on your sewing machine, we're doing a zigzag stitch, which virtually every sewing machine is going to have that. The width of the stitch on this particular machine, it shows up as 5.0. And the length, this is basically how tight that stitch is going to be. So the width is obviously how wide the stitch is going to be. And this is how tight or how long, meaning if this is like a spring, the spring is tighter if the number is less. And the number is bigger, then the spring looks sort of stretched out. So this is 0.3. And I'm being specific with this because this is what I messed up on so much and caused me endless grief. So hopefully everyone has a sewing machine that will be able to sort of accomplish this. And this seems to be like the magic formula for, you have to do it twice on the hem. So I'll show you how to do that right now. But any sort of variation of this either didn't cover enough of the fabric or the hem just kind of it started catching and building up, and you don't want that either. Okay. When can we have another movie night? Did you guys like the movie night? Was that fun? I personally had a blast doing that. So, but I only want to do it if people actually liked doing it. So soon if people liked it. Okay. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, good. All right. So I don't know if you guys will be able, I don't know if you can see this, but on this particular model, this is a Singer, I don't know the model, but I'm going to go over, it's the zigzag stitch, and I'm going to go right here, and that is already at 5.0. This one over here needs to go down until it is 0.3, which is, and I'm going to show you really quickly right here what that stitch is going to do. Making sure my Okay. And that is what that stitch looks like. So we're going to actually end up doing 2 of these. I keep like looking over here to make sure I'm pointing this out in the right direction. Okay. Does that all make sense before I get going on this? So this first one is fairly easy to do. And then once we cut it, there's going to be a lot of like starting and stopping, starting and stopping. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. And by the way, is the sewing machine too loud? Because my thought was I can mute this when I'm actually running the machine. So it doesn't just like, you guys aren't just sitting there listening to a bunch of really obnoxious noise. Because this part is, it's a little quiet. I can't talk over it and it's loud. No, it's fine. Okay. Oh, lighting, setting up, and editing. Yes. I don't know when I will do that, but I feel like the dress form is the thing that my mom was like, you really need to do that dress form. And so I was like, okay, I will do that. And I want one too, just because like once that's done, I can make like a spring dress and show you guys how to do that. Not loud at all. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me flip back. Okay, let me set. So I'm starting here at the point of that one side. And I'm gently moving it along with my fingers, but not forcing it. I'm just making sure it doesn't catch. And you kind of have to gently twist and move it. Okay, out of curiosity, can you guys hear me over the machine? And we're going to stop. Yes, okay, you guys can. Amazing. Which, by the way, look at Werewolf. She's doing such a good job. Okay, so once you hit one of the points, you need to lift up your needle. And you're going to shift the entire thing the other way and set that down again. Okay. And then you just keep going. Right. And so that's how long it takes to do. I think that's like 1/8 of the napkin. I'm just going to switch that down again. And you just do this one edge at a time. And by the way, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfectly on that marked line. It can kind of weave just a tiny bit, not too much. Something that is so neat about doing this is, for one, they'll look totally unique. That you can't buy anything in the world that looks like this. This is totally unique to your specific dining room. And so when people come over, the napkin is the very first thing you really see on like a plate that's been set for you, and it kind of sets the mood for the whole event. And obviously we're not socializing much right now, but when we get back to it, I just feel like it makes a really big statement, and it sort of just shows the guests how much you care about them, I think, when they come in and they see something so special. You lift that up. And this is something else. This is an important tip. Do like maybe 2 inches. Make sure the paper is still covering, but you want to do that the beginning of the next side on both ends. It's a really critical thing I should have pointed out. So let me flip the camera so you can see what I'm doing here. So I've already done this whole strip. And now I'm just going to do the beginning of that. And I'm going to pull the fabric across and do that on the other side as well. Okay. All right. So now we're going to use, okay. So I've mentioned that I love going to estate sales and getting like old ladies that have passed away, like getting their sewing baskets, because you never know what you're going to find in there. Sometimes you find the best thing ever. And I found these little tiny snipping scissors in one, and I don't know how old these are, probably from like, they could be anywhere from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, but they're so sharp and they get right in there wherever you need. So I love them. Okay. So this is what you're going to do now. You're going to start snipping away. And you get really, I mean, this is why you want itty bitty tiny scissors. You want to get as close as you possibly can. You don't want to actually cut into the thread though, because then it will unspool right wherever you cut it. So you just cut really close. You just go at this from every angle, whatever feels like it's working the best for you. And like I said, really the closer you're able to get, the better your finished hem is going to look. So you just go around. Someone said your hand hurts looking at the tiny scissors. My thumb right here hurts really bad. So, because I've had to make 10. So that's the other thing. So the table that I'm going to have set up is going to be set up for 8 people, but you always want to have, I think there's 12 altogether. You want to have extras because somebody's going to stain one or do something that's just going to kind of make you not want to use that one. And the other really great thing about having dyed this particular color is what are the 2 things that happen to napkins the most, and that's lipstick and like red wine and things like that getting spilled. So this should theoretically mask a lot of those stains. Because you never want people to come over to your house and feel bad for having like ruined something that honestly is intended to take quite a beating. Have you had a chance to go to any estate sales on the East Coast yet? So I was just telling him, since the pandemic, a lot of the things that I really love doing have been taken away from me. And all of us, everyone. The big things like going out to eat was like a really exciting, fun thing to get to do before. And I think I let somebody talk me into going into a restaurant one time since this whole thing began, and I was having a full-blown anxiety attack the whole time. So I haven't been to a restaurant except one time since this began, and I haven't been to a movie since January of last year. So movies, estate sales, all of the things that were so fun, they're coming back at some point, but just not right now. So all of my shopping has been on eBay, which, by the way, it's my favorite thing when you're buying, because my eBay name is like my actual name. And sometimes I'll buy something from somebody and they're just like, so happy you liked the transaction. And by the way, I liked your Netflix show. So it's kind of funny to have people like realize who's buying stuff from them if they're familiar with you. Drive-in movies. I would be so up for that. I would do that in a heartbeat. They haven't really been like releasing. I'm trying to think. I feel like I saw something good not long ago. Oh, size of the napkin. I went with such a big napkin for a couple reasons. I don't like it when I go to a restaurant and it's an itty bitty napkin. I almost want like a little blanket on my on my lap. And then another thing is everybody's a different size. Not everybody is super small or super large. And so it's nice to make a universally sort of large napkin just because it'll accommodate or work for anybody. And when you are hosting people at your house, their comfort is kind of like the star of the show. You want to make them feel amazed and comfortable. So anything you can think of to accomplish that, you should be thinking of. Let's see. What is the best material to use? So I'm not old enough to have lived long enough or entertained long enough to know what is the perfect fabric for a napkin. I think we could ask like a first lady or something. I don't know. But somebody who entertains constantly, I don't have a clue. But I'm using linen. Check back in with me in 20 years and I will have probably a much better answer. Let's see. This is tedious, but it's worth it. And also, by the way, it goes a lot faster if you're not talking or entertaining people. And and you've got like an audiobook or something that you're listening to. Okay. So now I've cut away, let me show you. So I've cut away the edge, but I still have this. Leave this on here. Don't take that off yet. You want to fold this over. And now it's a different beast you're dealing with now, because the stability of that edge has been removed. And so any sharp points, you can't just stick the point into the end. Like if I were to just take the sharp point and stick that and start sewing, that end is too weak. It would start grabbing and it would completely mess up. So if you're ever approaching an end, approach it from the back side that has the stability. So right here, we're going to take that. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to go all the way and meet the seam right here, but kind of close is what you want. And you just pull that through. Okay. And if you're doing this along with me and you're looking, this is a very rough edge and this edge looks just more finished. So we're going to start right here because like I said, don't ever start with like a tip or a point. And that's kind of what you want. That's how that should look. And then you just take some scissors and you can trim that little point. And you'll find yourself picking away at little extras. This, just a full disclosure, it's not gonna look as perfect as like a napkin at like the Grand Hotel or something, but it's gonna look really close and you don't have to pay for a serger. You can do this on your own home machine. And also once it's all folded, it just looks so fancy and beautiful. So flip that around. Right. Let's see. So again, that's another point that I finished. And so I'm gonna cut it off right there, twist the fabric around. And come at it from this side. This is the part that this was the biggest motivating factor for doing this as a live stream where you can see it happening in real time, because if I were to try to explain that in an actual like edited together video, I don't think it would have worked as well. What books are you listening to right now? I am almost at the end of a book called She Said, which isn't true crime. It's just about well, actually it is. It's about the Harvey Weinstein thing. And it's really fascinating. It's written by like the people who like wrote the actual original article about it and how they researched it and all of that stuff. And I think it's really interesting. I've got a couple like actual like 80s serial killer true crimes like in my queue that I'm just waiting to get started on. Okay, So let's see. Oh, somebody said, where do you buy your faux plants? It's a website called Nearly Natural, and they should be paying me for for how much I talk about them. So Nearly Natural, I think it's .com. I'm not sure. I have been giving it a little bit of thought. I think this spring I want to experiment with some real plants and see if I can't like make them live. So we're gonna see how that works. My biggest concern with real plants is poisoning my cats unintentionally, because like every plant you look up is poisonous to cats just about. But if I do it, if I keep them all in like the solarium where the cats don't go, I don't know. Flip this back here. Hello from Hungary. Hello. Try some ivy. Easy to, okay, maybe I'll start with some ivy. Oh, and you have to, if you, at this stage, another really important tip, you have to keep your fingers on this back side and gently, I'm just like tugging it from behind, like making sure it doesn't get hung up. Because the thicker you lay that thread down, the more it's gonna wanna start like catching on itself. Okay, my sewing machine's making a lot of funny like noises. Oh, ferns. Okay. When we very first got married, we had cats and some ferns in the house, and it was the first thing they went for, and that was the last time I had any living plant in the house, because I looked it up and it was like, it said ferns could kill your cat, so I was like, oh no, I don't want that. So So having to completely like readjust every time you come to a point on this particular design is time consuming, but it stops you from messing it up. So it's just kind of something you have to do. Okay, I'm going to attack that again. And then you just attack that again from the other side. Okay. Have you been watching WandaVision? So I hope you guys don't kill me about this, but I'm not really like a superhero. Like there's like the genre for some reason doesn't like tick my boxes. Um, I'm into all sorts of other stuff, but for some reason, like again, I do just different things work for different people, but superhero movies and um what else? Star Wars doesn't. I know that's like everyone loves so many different things, but for some reason those just aren't my they don't resonate with me as all. But I really like Elizabeth Olsen. I just watched her in Wind River and it was really good. When is your mother coming to visit? She's trying to get her vaccine, and I think hopefully next month. So I really miss her, and I'm ready for a little bit of a something changing, something to look forward to. Someone said you'll be pleasantly surprised. I did really like Wonder Woman. I did watch that, and like certain movies, they're just so good you can't there's just like no escaping. Who was it? The movie Pride and Prejudice from 2005 or 2006 with Keira Knightley is so perfect and so good that the captive, who is not one for like romance movies, was completely like glued to the movie and interested in the whole thing. So certain movies are so good that even if it's not for you, it still has some sort of strange appeal. WandaVision defies genre. Okay. I will try it. Someone said I can't wait to get my vaccine. I don't have any hope that I'm going to be I don't deal with the public, so I'm going to be probably at the bottom of the list of the people who get it, but I'm very happy that the people that are getting it seem to be the people that and obviously I can't speak for every single place, but getting people that are older, getting people that deal with the public in any way, it feels really appropriate. Okay. So now I'm just going through and I'm basically just looking for any little stray scragglies and trying to clip away at them. And again, you want to cut as close as you possibly can to the napkin. And then once you've got it there, see, I'm always missing one. And you make sure that your iron is fired up and heated. But now, this is one of my favorite parts. Okay. So now you can start pulling away. And the reason it's called tear away is because it just tears away. Nice and easy. And then you have like this nice thing. Now I'm gonna iron this really quickly so I can show it off in all of its glory. Okay. So is this making sense to you guys? I hope it is. This would be a really bad time for you to say it's not making any sense. So okay. So that is one side completely finished. Someone said I'm watching this with my mom too. Tell your mom I said hi, Heather. Okay. Do we feel like this is achievable? Making sense. Okay, good. I'm trying to think. Pride and Prejudice movie night. Is my mom commenting on here? That's a very my mom thing to have asked. I would do it, but it's just not really like, it's such a romantic, beautiful movie. It's actually one of my absolute favorite movies. Okay, so here is a question. I can keep this going and I can do all of the sides right now, or I can set this aside like this is like a, I don't know, HGTV video and pull over a napkin that's already done and show you how to fold it. Or do you guys want me to completely go around the entire thing? Because I kind of didn't realize how long it takes. It takes a minute, especially if you're talking a whole bunch. Fold it. Okay. Are we ready for folding? Are we going to move on to folding? Just because fold. Okay. Okay. Fold it. One person said go around. Oh no. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the folding part because I just realized that was, how many minutes are we in right now? I don't know how many minutes we're in. We're an hour in and I've done one side. So obviously I realize a lot of that was talking, but you do essentially the exact same thing on all four sides. And it looks, like I said, you didn't have to buy a serger. You can just do it on your basic standard sewing machine. And it looks amazing and is so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Please, nobody kill me. Okay, so I'm going to reach over here. This is the best part anyway. And let me show you one of these things. I might actually have to move the whole sewing machine away from me really quick. Isn't that pretty? It kind of looks like a little bat. Okay, I am going to set the sewing machine aside. Okay, let me think. Do you guys mind if I take a very quick little potty break? Let me run and do that. I'll move the sewing machine, set up for a second really quick to move on to the folding. Give me one moment. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. All right, let's start talking about this. And I think what I've decided to do, because I'm not going all the way around the napkin, once this is done and we all feel like we have like a good handle on it, I'll just do a like sit down, relaxed question and answer, and we'll just chit chat for a minute and you'll have my undivided attention. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So this is theoretically what it will hopefully look like when it is finished. Where did werewolf go? I think, let's see if I can get one of them. I think they're just totally zonked out. She ran off. Okay. Which let me give you a tip. Sometimes you buy things and you're like, that was not worth the money. And I don't want to like disparage anything. So I'm not going to like list the things that I've splurged on over the years and like been very disappointed with. But of the things that I'd wanted for a really long time is these green mats. And oh my gosh, you can cut on them. You can do also like the measuring surface on them is really, really helpful. It's just totally a really, really nice something. It was worth every penny it cost, and you can get them at Joann Fabric. So let's see. So you're gonna remove. And I'm gonna iron this out really quick. Again, like I said, because you've starched it, you get all of this, and if you have to reset it, you have to iron the whole thing out again. Okay. All right. This is very important. If you're going to be folding your napkin, by the way, these are the color swatches I made of all of those colors. So when I went to Lowe's and was like, I need this color, I gave them the largest possible like point of reference, and it was still not quite right, but I've got those at least for my own reference. So when you cut out your fabric, so there's something called cutting on the bias, meaning if you like, let's say you have a roll of rolled out fabric, and if you cut it like this, I'm trying to think of, I don't have, maybe this will do. Maybe I can explain it with this. So when you buy fabric on the bolt, it's going to be this wide, however wide it is, and then it's just going to keep going down the bolt. Let's say, I don't know, if it's like a 10-yard bolt or longer. And so if you lay your fabric down flat and you cut the square directly out like this, which is what I did, by the way, that would just be called, I don't know, people who sew, that's called something. Just cutting it straight out of the fabric. Now, if you cut it on the bias, don't do that with this napkin because you're going to end up using the bias to your advantage. So when you cut this out, just cut it straight out of the fabric. Don't try to do anything at like a funny angle. Okay, so you need to figure out now, where is the bias the squishiest? Because whichever side has like the most stretch to it, you want those to be the sides. Bias is at a 45-degree angle. See, people know about sewing. So whichever sides like naturally stretches, that's the sides that you want. And this side doesn't stretch as far. This is a, let me see if I can see how that's not stretching very much. And then this side is giving you, I don't know. It gives you a lot, is my point. So you fold this over like that. Oh, and I just realized, Captive, could you get me a couple of these? You're gonna want some grabbers. They're basically, you can use like a chip clip, something like that. Bias versus straight grain. Okay, this is, I love learning stuff. So you're going to want to cut your napkins, thank you, on the straight grain. And so let me also put another disclaimer out there. The napkin I showed in the picture, I fussed and fiddled with forever, because when you're trying to make a napkin look perfectly symmetrical for like the purposes of photography, where people instantly can see when something isn't symmetrical in a photo, but in person, it really doesn't need to be quite as precise. But in a photo, it really had to be. And I must have fiddled till my eyes started bleeding. Like, it was really bad. So anyhow, you're going to take this. So set your little bag clippies over here. Fold it like that. And it doesn't have to be completely perfect, but just get those points to line up. You're going to get that, and you're going to fold that. And so see how you end up with this extra right here? You're going to pull that until it goes like that. So it can be a little, you want it longer because you want more wing than you have anything in the center. And here's where it is going to get a little bit tricky to explain, and I will do it multiple times. So you want to just accordion it right here, maybe an inch. Go back and forth, an inch. I'm going to do this wrong. Maybe a little more than an inch. There we go. So how many folds is that? I can count them. And you take a chip clip and you just pinch it. So it looks like I did a total of 2 folds over. Same thing. Over. And again. And you can take a chip clip. So you want to keep those folds going if you can. It's a little tricky. Tricky, if not impossible. We're going to experiment and see. I may have to do this a few times to get it totally perfect because it's kind of a new design even for me. So you pull that down. You can remove the clips now. And you have to unfold that a little bit and put your fingers in there and work those out so that it starts looking And you have to fiddle with it until it starts looking like a bat wing. You can take this and I fold it. I leave like a gap right there so that you create that, if that makes sense. And you just tuck that down in between into the whatever your napkin ring is. And you pull that down, not all the way, just enough, so that it creates like a little collar right there. And then once it's to that point, you can just tuck the extra, like hide it away underneath. Okay, what's happened here? I've lost my wing on this. And then I actually tuck this part. You can tuck it under so it doesn't stand out quite so tall. And you stretch out your wings. Let's see. And you can perfect it a little bit as you go. But that is the essential. Did that make sense? Did that make sense? I can do this a few times if it's helpful. See if I can't move that. And so you just might have to fiddle with it a little bit until it looks. Now I will tell you, once you get it looking exactly how you wanted it to, it won't move. Like once it sort of sets in the shape a little bit, I don't know if you leave it for like an hour or something, it won't budge out of this. So you can like lift it up. So you could do this all in one place and then put them on like a piece of whatever, a piece of paper, bring them out into your dining room and set them on your tables. The folding, obviously I did that really fast. It doesn't take very much time. And you just put that on whatever. So like the plates, I'll explain this in one of those like sort of small episodes that's coming out next month, like the chargers and all of the things that go on the place setting. But this will rest just right on top of it and it looks, I'm not giving away too much in this episode because I want your brains to pop when you see this finished sort of fantasy thing that I'm doing. So I'm not going to show you what all the plates look like because I've got everything all sort of done, and it's really, really amazing. I don't know if when I'm ever going to have a gathering of this many people. I'm waiting for the world to feel normal again. But when I am able to, this is going to be the most beautiful place. I was talking to my mom I was just talking to her today about it. Like, what are things that I could do for patrons that would be something really amazing at some point in the future? And once this thing is settled down, I was thinking maybe once or twice a year, maybe doing a contest on here and having somebody come out for the weekend, and you could bring like your immediate family, and like we could just spend like the weekend crafting and like making breakfast together and just sort of hanging out here at this house. Because I feel like that would be a really fun, exciting thing for like people to look forward to. I don't know. If that sounds fun, let me know. A tea party live stream. Would you guys want me to do a live stream where my mom was present? I could do that. Okay. Here's a question. Should I do this again? Should I fold it again? Do you guys want to see it again? Or should I just relax and start like talking and chatting? Because whichever you guys want, I'm happy to do. Okay, hold on one second. Yeah, people are saying yes to mom. So I will, if you guys don't mind. She's like, I hope I don't say anything. That's my biggest fear. with doing a live stream is, and I think I said this in the very, very first live stream, is unintentionally saying something that could hurt people's feelings, or because you never want to do that. You don't really, it's sort of, you feel like you're hanging out with one individual person, or at least I feel like that when I'm doing this. And sometimes you don't, I've said a couple things over like the year that I've been doing this that were like thoughtless, and I wasn't paying enough attention, and it causes me I get called out on it if I do. And sometimes I don't learn my lesson instantly. Sometimes when somebody's like, you did this, and it takes you a second to go, oh yes, I did. That was really not cool of me. So I've done that, and my mom was paranoid about doing that herself, although she is the most like, she's much more of a listener than a talker. Okay, also fold. Let me fold one more time, just because I feel like if you're going to be, okay, so here's a finished pretty one that I just showed you how to make. Doesn't it look like a bat or a butterfly or something? And now here's something else I was considering. I was considering embroidering an M like right here, which would be really pretty. But it also looks really good if you pinch the fabric right there. Like pinch it together. It's not translating on this camera from the angle, but it looks really good in person. I don't know if I can. Why M? Because McConnell. So like an M for, I mean, it would be, you could embroider whatever the initial is of your last name. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to undo this. See how it gets all crinkly? And I'm going to iron that out really quick. I'm going to lay that out again. Let's see. Okay, so again, you want to find which one has like the most squish to it. It's this one. This is the squishiest one. So you're going to take that, fold it over so that it meets that point right there. I'm going to take this and go up. And you know you're doing it right if these points are longer than that underneath, and they can sort of stick out a little bit. We're going to do 2 folds here, so about 1.5 inches maybe. Inch. And a little less than that. Another one. I'm going to just chip clip that. Same thing on this side. That's 1 fold. And that's 2 folds. Just chip clip that. Take your napkin ring. Make sure that's kind of going in the right direction. Then you can release these. Just a little bit further. you take the center and this part, just fold over like a taco. You get it going like that, and then you sandwich it so that you can create a nice little sort of pleat is what you're doing. Hold that down. And you can do this with any napkin ring. It can be like a really simple one or a pretty decorative one. So you pull that down till you just see the collar sort of popping out. You tuck the extra underneath. And just pull your wings out from underneath that. And again, you can tuck this down a little bit lower. And you slide your finger in there and you sort of fluff that out. Slide your finger in there, fluff that out. And there you have it again. And you really, by the way, you kind with the angle of this like sort of scalloping, you can do this a whole bunch of different ways and it's gonna look really pretty. You can make this look like a maple leaf. You can do all sorts of things that are really, really fun. And then, like I said, I've kind of been liking just pinching that right there and creating like a sharp point. I was gonna embroider an M, and I kind of feel like when you see the finished thing, I feel like that adds like something really nice to it. And again, you can fiddle with this forever. I know, with the one that I took a picture of, I fiddled with it for an obscene amount of time. Okay. Does that make sense? I hope you guys enjoyed that. How long did that take? Sometimes I like to, like an hour and 30 minutes, although I didn't sew like the entire edge around it. That would have definitely upped it. But I want to say, if I wasn't talking so much, I probably could do all of the corners completely in an hour and a half, probably. So in about the time that I've done this, because if you're not speaking, you're just sort of buzzing along. So an hour and a half, the cost per napkin, I think I only paid like $6 a yard for this fabric. So what the math on that is, if you're going to do 10, it's not a terribly expensive napkin, and it's special and it's something you need to keep a long time. And you haven't put so much work into it that when one gets destroyed, it's not like the end of the world. Which is a big deal when you're thinking, oh wait, here's Werewolf. I'll see if I can't get her to, she's not going to cooperate. Okay, let's do a Q&A and let's hang out just for a second. I loved the movie night so much. My mom was like, I don't know if it was that fun for me. And I was like, well, did you have the movie queued up? And she was like, no, I told you I wouldn't watch that movie. And I was like, I think that's a big part of what made the experience work for some people. So if the movie wasn't queued up, I don't know how much fun it would have been. But I hope you guys liked it. I'll do a poll just to make sure that I'm not only making like 5 people happy that enjoyed the movie night and that everyone else was just bored to tears. Let's see. Oh, these are my favorite glasses. I think I mentioned this is my Golden Girls like pitcher. I went to the doctor and found out I am dehydrated. So I'm trying to drink water more. No, this is mine. She is my little devil kitty. I love her so much. She's very like, so Archimedes, I love with all of my heart so much. There's nothing I don't like about him. Um, and her, she'll be so sweet, and I'll just be like, "We're bonding. We're having like a moment together." Um, and then she'll like pee on you or she'll do something just like, "I wish you hadn't done that." But I love her and I don't care. Cats are worth it. Okay, let's see. Could we do a Crimson Peak movie night? I will 100% do that. That is one of my favorite, like, it's a big Gothic masterpiece of a movie. There's some terrible stuff, but if you could, I'll do a like a poll about which movie. How is Chauncey doing? Chauncey is banished in his cage somewhere. I think I'm gonna stick him down in the basement or up in the attic. Although I don't know if that's very fair um for the bats that are up there. By the way, there's bats all over the house. You can hear them in the walls. Like we'll just be sitting in bed and you can hear them scratching and clawing and doing things in the walls. I want to make a bat house. I feel like I need to like research that, but that's something I want to experiment with. How about a Golden Girls night? Should we watch the murder mystery episode together? That's my favorite, is when they go, I don't know if it's on a cruise or at a hotel, but they do like a murder mystery episode of the Golden Girls. And I want to say it's my favorite episode. Let's see. Hello from sunny Australia. Am I wrong in thinking that it's not winter in Australia right now? I don't think I actually understood that. I think, again, I know a whole lot of stuff, and then also there are massive gaps in my knowledge. And moving here and realizing that the days are much shorter in winter was something I didn't understand, and the captive was helpful enough to like get like a grapefruit and like explain to me like how the earth operates. So yes, it is. It's let's see. No, it's the end of summer in Australia. That is so, that like blows, it's like the brain exploding emoji. Like I can't grasp that. It's been, the ground has been white and frozen for so long. Pushing Daisies, I've never seen that show. Should I watch that show? I've heard people like it a lot. Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else interesting to chat about. I've got like so many, I've totally went bonkers on this dining room, and you're just a few weeks away from seeing what I've done. It's one of those like, I'm so excited about it. I can't believe how amazing it turned out. And so I've literally been working on it since January, and it kills you a little bit to like film so much and do so much work and have nobody know what you're like doing or what it looks like until it goes out, and then it's just like, ah. It's the most like, I would say it's more of an aspirational dining room, as far as, it's so ridiculous. I've researched like table settings and like all of these weird sorts of little things. I mentioned I'm doing a bunch of mini episodes next month, and one of them is going to be making a place card holder. And so I'm going to design my own and like make that available. So it's going to be, if this month felt a little bare, next month is going to be like, you're going to get annoyed with how many little things I'm going to be posting. Dark Shadows movie night. I love that idea. Okay, let's see. I can't wait for I hope people like the dining room. I will be crushed if, no, you guys will like it. I'm very confident in how it's going to go over. Your kitchen. Let's see. What can I say about the kitchen? The kitchen's going to be expensive. And so I'm trying to be smart about everything and like not make bad choices. So I need to find a contractor that does really good work, and then figure out exactly what's going into that. But basically, it's a huge undertaking, and I don't know when I'm going to be tackling it, because this is what I don't want to do. I hate spending money on things that are temporary. I like It's like I'd rather just not spend anything and deal with what it looks like right now, until I'm ready to do it totally right. So that's kind of just where I am. It's not that fun, but we can still bake and stuff. Like there is an area that I can do all of those things. Let's see. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows? Yes, it is absolutely amazing. And I've even watched some of the series and it was just fantastic. Ghost updates. So what can I say about the ghosts? They kind of like, they're here. Stuff, I mean, weird, like you'll think you'll see things. It's kind of just like a whole bunch of little things and nothing. I think they're still like in the observation stage where they're just sort of watching what's going on. But I'm trying to think. Nothing too specific that I can think of. It's just lots of like, you'll just feel like something's watching you. You'll think you'll see a glimpse of something. You'll hear a sound that there's no explanation for. Let's see. Would you have a medium come to the house? Not until I have like my seance crystal ball, like Widow's Walk all set up. Because you want your house to be prepared for things. Oh my gosh, any decor ideas that your captive has been against or vetoed? Well, the live stream of doing this is a live stream. So we were working and doing all of that. And he gives lots of feedback on things. And I was gung-ho about making this an episode. And he was like, he's like, it's a short month. And I don't think you're going to be able to edit this together in like a short video that makes sense to people. And I was like, really? And he's like, why don't you do it as a live stream? So we're doing this. So he does get a say in things. And I do listen to him sometimes. Let's see. Have a dinner party for your ghosts. I love that idea. And nobody's going to die of COVID if I do that. Let me think about that. I like that idea a lot. Can you resurface the cabinets in the kitchen? There are none. There's nothing in the kitchen that is worth salvaging. I will say that. It was like, I will sort of explain the kitchen. At one point, there was a Victorian kitchen here. Then in the 50s, they had like this sort of 1950s kitchen installed. And then in the 80s, they took all of that away and it's only a couple like 1980s cabinets with like a sink. It's really bare bones and pitiful. So no, it's going to be, actually, I want to say it's one of the only rooms in the house that's going to be a complete and total transformation from what it is currently. Let's see. Does the captive like the Golden Girls? I just asked him. I think, did I talk about this in the last one? I asked him, I was like, if I died, would you ever watch the Golden Girls again? And he was like really torn about answering, but I think the answer was like, maybe he would. So it's more something that he tolerates and not something that he's like, he is not as in love with it as I am. Can you teach us how to alter thrifted clothing? 100% that needs to be an episode, because so many of the dresses that I pick up like have to be adjusted. The only reason I'm hesitant to do it is because it takes a lot of time to adjust each one, but every single garment has its own little, so maybe I need to find like 3 dresses that need to be adjusted and make one episode out of tailoring all 3 of those. I think that's probably a good way to do that. I'm talking this through with you, so maybe that's what I should do. Okay, because that's honestly, I think I've mentioned, always buy dresses that are clothing in general that's too big for you. If it's vintage, that way you have like some wiggle room to like make them smaller. It's whenever anything is too small that you should just go, no matter how beautiful it is, just walk away. It is. You will save yourself so much heartache. Okay, talk about the thread box. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I got it at an antique shop. I, I don't think it was very expensive, but they can be very expensive depending on where you find them. So, and I was inspired by Jerry Landry because she has like the coziest looking house I've ever seen. Let's see. Have you ever done any adjusting to men's clothes? Um, yes, some, not a ton, but I would say like the knowledge I have at this particular moment, I would be able to do um, stuff that's really good because obviously like a male silhouette is a little bit different and the things that you want to emphasize are a little bit different, but I could do that too at some point. Did you make that little doily? No. I found this is an antique. This is a Victorian antique doily. And I mentioned that these are all of the colors that are in the wallpaper. And so I took this with me when I was getting fabric and things like that because I wanted to do something. I have a few of these that are going to go on the table, and I want to be able to pull a few different things together and make it all work. And I'm trying to think, let me show you. Look at how pretty this napkin looks with the colors that are, I don't know if it does. It does, I promise. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna go quiet now. Just prepare yourselves. It's gonna be a really, really fun month next month, and it's literally all pretty much finished at this point. It just has to be edited together, which obviously I've mentioned takes me forever. So give me a couple weeks and it's just gonna all start coming out at once. So take care of yourselves till then. Thank you for sitting through this with me. If you guys have questions about this afterward, if you comment, I always go back and look at the comments and I will try to see if I can't like make a few responses to questions that I feel like I see a lot. So take care of yourselves. I will see you very, very soon and have a lovely weekend.